Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Soso, in case you ain't know so, and welcome back to another dope episode of Sports with Soso. Coming to you live, y'all. This week, the Heat have won their last two games and make a big announcement concerning Dwayne Wade. The Panthers have lost 3 of their last 4 games and are looking for answers. And the Dolphins make a quick exit out the playoffs. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go! Yo, we back. And it ain't all good, dog.
It is good. You know what? It is good. It is good.
You right.
I got up this morning. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And a wise man once told me every day that you wake up above ground is a good day.
Yeah, that's a wise man.
Yeah, be some scary shit if you wake up below ground. Maybe the Jews in
That's
Harlem.
a bad day, dog. That's a bad day.
Unless you're Jewish and in New York, then you might wake up below ground. You know, digging tunnels and stuff.
Yeah, you never know, man. You never know. You never know.
That shit was wild. That was a wild story.
Yeah, crazy.
Anyways.
Real quick, shout out to everybody who subscribed to the channel. We appreciate y'all. If you haven't done so already, make sure you do so. And more importantly, turn on the notifications, man, because we've been dropping a lot of content lately. A lot of good content. A couple BKFC fight previews. We're going out there February 2nd. And we got a couple more interviews lined up. We also have the latest version or edition of OnlyFans, the playoff edition. That one hurt. Worse than the Buffalo one, worse than the Raven one, but whatever. You guys can go watch it and understand what me and Joel had to talk about there. Let's talk about
got some more to talk about, but that'll come later. We don't want to start off so somber.
No,
you know?
I want to start with good stuff.
Some levity.
I want to start off with the good stuff.
Yeah, man. That's what everybody came here for, right?
Absolutely, man. Let's talk about the Heat, right? They've won 3 of their last 4 games, including the last 2 games, including a big game against Charlotte, because that was Dwayne Wade night, you know, and that guy has a legacy here that I don't think will ever be matched in South Florida sports. You know, like Dan has his thing, but Dan never won a championship, right? D Wade brought us 3 titles, you know, and that's stuff that you can't touch, right? So when it is D Wade night and he's in attendance, and you know we have a big news announcement coming through. The Heat needed to perform well, and they did. You know what I mean? They got a big win, 104-87 against Charlotte. And what I liked about that game is how we started, right? We came out the gate hot defensively. We really clamped down Charlotte. We limited a lot of their rebounds, so they weren't able to get like second looks and stuff like that, which allowed the Heat to create a 10-point, 8-point lead throughout that first quarter. And then once we did that, we didn't have to look back because the Heat, like I said, defensively did a great job. You know, we held Charlotte to 31 points in a half, 16 points and 15 points in the quarters, respectively. Yeah, some of that is them shooting bad, right? But a lot of that has to do with the defense that the Heat are playing. And at this level, even against inferior opponents like Charlotte, you need to make sure that the standard is being met, right? And when defensively, we met that standard, which is awesome. Offensively, we had a good night as well, right? We saw Bam have a really good night. We saw Tyler Hero bounce back. Duncan was on fire from 3. He was 50% from the field, 3 of 6. And it was just flowing. The offense was flowing. The only part that sucked about that game, right, was Jaime Jaquez being injured. He had like a hip injury mid-game.
I think it came up as a groin injury possibly.
Yeah, bro. And he was balling. He had like 15 points, 13 points in the first quarter, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought that was at the half.
Nah, dude. He was really, really balling, dog. And then he got hurt and didn't come back in the game.
Yeah, man, that sucks. You don't want to see the rook go down.
He's been our most consistent player all year. He's been our most consistent player all year.
More consistent than Bam?
Yes,
Bam
because
had double this game.
True, but Bam's also missed some time. Hyman's has been here, hasn't missed a beat.
But when he's available, you're talking about just being available.
Hasn't been, the best ability of availability or ability is availability. So Jaime Jaquez has that over everybody. Hey, not only have I played every game, I show up and I do the minimum that I can do every single game, right? He's averaging more than 12 points a game, more than 3 assists a game, more than five averages a game, like rebounds a game, excuse me. So again, he's been our most consistent player. He hasn't been our best player. That probably goes to Bam, right? He's been really excelling in the ways that we want him to excel, right? And even in that game against the Magic, right, where it came down to a last possession type thing, and we were looking at this Heat team like, all right, how are you guys going to respond in the fourth quarter where the game is really being tied down defensively? Both Orlando and the Heat really stepped up their defense in that third and fourth quarter. I don't think in either period was there more than 25 points. But as the game is winding down, the Heat climb back right in the fourth quarter. We're down 1, and the inbound play goes to Bam. And then he takes a shot that we all want him to take. It's from the free throw line area, a nice little 18-foot jumper, and he hits that like water. Charlotte didn't even try to defend it. And it was like, all right, if Bam can do this consistently, then he's automatically our best player. Because now he's doing that next level stuff that we needed Bam to see, right? We needed his shot to be more consistent. He needs to be above 55% from the field, right? And this year he's done, I don't want to say like great at it, but he's been playing really well, right? Averaging 51% in the games that he's played with 22 points per game. Really good season for Bam, our best player, because we know that he's going to bring it more times than not. But just getting tough wins like that, getting that tough win at home against Orlando, who's a tough rival. They always play us hard. Paolo Banchero was on fire that night.
That was a really close game, 99-96.
And he missed the shot at the end, that we came up with. And then Highsmith, man, cold as ice, bro, stepped up and hit 2 free throws to ice the game after Bam put us up 97-96.
Did you just call him Ice Smith? That would be a dope nickname if you did that.
Well, now we're gonna call him that. From now on, that's his name on the show, dog.
With Ice Smith.
Ice Smith, man. And he's another guy that's been contributing. You know what I mean?
He's a role player that has his good nights. He's been productive for what we ask of him, right? We're not asking him to go over exceed and put up numbers that Bam's putting up necessarily,
right?
But go out there and do your job defensively, which he does. He's definitely is an asset for us, and offensively he can score. He's there usually in the right spots at the right times too, with the rebounds and stuff. So yeah, I like his play.
I like his play too, man. And he
can shoot the 3 too.
What's weird is that we've been seeing a lot more of Joel.
Yes, which hasn't been great.
But
what he's been showing has not been what he does when he's not on the Heat. Everything else outside that is balling.
But it's hard for him, right? Because on those other teams, he's usually first, second option. Here, my man, you got to live by those scraps, right? So while he does get looks and he'll get, chances to do something with the ball, it's not going to be a lot. In these last 2 games, he shot the ball 6 times and the other game 8 times. So in 2 games, the guy has 14 shots. Hasn't been great. 2 of 6 and 1 of 8. Hasn't been great, right? So yeah, offensively, he's not there because it's hard for him to get into that rhythm. What I was going to say is that I like what he brings as far as an offensive threat. If the ball's in his hand, they have to pay attention to him. They have to, right? Because his passing is really good. He can pick and roll very well, and he knows how to find guys in transition. He's a guy who's pretty nimble when it comes to handling the ball. And when the 3-point shot is falling for him, then he automatically becomes a bigger asset and a bigger threat. So, and the size. We need size next to Bam, you know what I mean? So, I think it's been tough for teams to key in on Bam when Jovic is out there because that's a guy who can hit wide open shots. Granted, he hasn't shown it consistently yet, but I like where his head's at, and I like that Spo is trying to find ways to use him. Because down the line, we're going to need a big-time player, a big tall player next to Bam for some minutes in the playoffs, right? We're going to need it. And I don't think there's that many options, right? Jovic is probably the best one when it comes to that. One thing that I wanted to point out about Jaime, too, is that this is a guy that I think that he's really shown that he's ready for the playoffs. That 6-man role that Hero was dominating when he first came in, and it was yo, we got a fucking badass bench and we got a 6-man of the year. I think we have that in Jaquez. I think we really do, because every night, man, you can see this kid getting better and better and better. He hardly makes dumb mistakes. Very, very tenacious when it comes to defense. You know what I mean? Just a guy who gets it and really has fit everything that it means to be Heat culture. And I'm really, bro, I don't want to say proud of him because I did nothing to do with his development.
You can still be proud of him.
But damn, dog, am I super hyped up for what else he's gonna bring?
Well, he's gonna bring us a dunk contest title, hopefully.
Yes, sir. And he won a dunk contest in high school.
Yeah, I saw the clips.
Yeah,
it wasn't anything out of this world, but
no, but just shows you that he's got some hops. He could probably pull something off, and more than that, I think it just puts the Heat in a good light. Anytime that you have representatives in an all-star game, that's good for your brand, bro. That's good for your franchise. That's good for your team.
Sure.
We saw how awesome it was to have Bam there, a part of it last year. Granted, he didn't do so well when he came back from the all-star break, but the fact that he was out there representing was cool. Duncan was out there representing, cool. So yeah, to have it, or Hero, excuse me. And then now to have the vice versa, have Jaime Jaquez out there representing. We know that Bam's probably going to make the all-star team. So it's going to be dope, man. It's going to be dope. And more importantly, bro, I think for the Heat, bro, like they're close. They're close. And this year is the, I really don't want to say this, but I think this is the last year that things stay status quo. Whatever happens this season, short of a championship, big moves have to be made, right? Big moves have to be made. Roster changes in the most hardest way. We're going to have to make some decisions, and I'm not sure we're there yet. But right now, this team, as constructed, looks like they can definitely make the playoffs. Are we going to be a top 4 team? I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's we don't know. We right now have a lot of questions. There's still a trade deadline, which we talked about last episode. Mm-hmm. One thing we didn't talk about, and this might be a good thing to talk about right now, because it was kind of, to me, it was kind of like an indicator of what is potentially yet to come for the Heat. And it was that game against OKC that we lost.
Yeah. And the way we lost it, right?
There was 2 things that really stood out about that loss. And one of them was Gilgeous-Alexander. Who's a star, a bona fide star, probably top 5 player in the league right now.
Right now, for sure.
And frankly, the other one was Chet Holmgren, who kind of did his thing against Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, but that's where Bam gets beat, with size and length.
But that's my point right there. If Bam is our pride and joy, and that's the guy, Jimmy's not playing where he needs to be. He didn't play in that game. If he's not available come playoff time, God forbid, we really don't have enough, frankly, to compete.
No.
Maybe in the East. Maybe. I mean, I think there's still, Milwaukee. Dame is starting to get hot with Milwaukee. You got Celtics, still a good team. Mm-hmm. There's teams that are doing well in the East that we still had to get through to even make it to the West. But the West is a whole different monster.
Yeah. I will say this, though, like to kind of point out something positive about that OKC game. If you look at the box score, right, we have 6 players in double figures. What does that tell you? And we scored 120 points, mm-hmm. right, without Jimmy. If the team contributes, doesn't have to play great. If the guys contribute, then we'll be okay, right? Because like that night we got 19 from Ice Smith, right? We got 19 from Ice Smith. We got 15 from Jovic. Jaime Jaquez dropped 21 that night, and Kevin Love had 12 points. But the issue, outside of Bam and Hero.
But the issue is there. We put up 120, but
and we lost.
As the Pride being a defensively sound team, we let up 128.
Yeah.
And I know that's spaced away towards the end of the game as well, but still, you know what I mean? Like things need to change. Like that wasn't Miami Heat ball. We've talked about it before. Whenever those games go up there, like that's not Heat ball. That's not how we win games. Really. We grind them out. We're gonna make you earn that shit.
Yeah.
And when they got scorers and they're not just one dimensional teams, they got multifaceted scorers and athletes. It's become more of a challenge for us when we don't have the size to be able to keep up with their big man or somebody like Jimmy to be able to stop the defensive play of the perimeter where Bam is guarding the middle.
Absolutely. And I think that we can address that in the trades deadline, right? We have to. Like I said, we have to find a way to complement Bam with size. Yeah, what we really need is an offensive-minded point guard. We need that. But if you're asking me, like, if you can have one or the other, give me a tall guy who can play some defense and not be a burden on offense, and I'll take that next to Bam all day, every day, because of how much more that frees up Bam. He wouldn't have to be forced to cover a guy like Chet both on the roll and on the pick. You know what I mean? makes it a little bit easier defensively as far as matchups goes. But I will say this. Like I said, I think the strength of this team lies in its depth. I think the strength of this team lies in team contributes. The team contributing consistently and often. As long as we have one or two guys coming off the bench scoring 10 points a game, that's what matters. I don't care who does it on any given night, but we need to have that. And, this was funny because I had mentioned that to Sergio. And he was like, not a lot of teams have double-figure scores on the bench. And it's like, well, the deep ones do. You know what I mean? The good teams that are up there in the top 4, top 5 in each, respective conference, those teams have guys who can come in and give you 10 points any given night. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that they're giving it to you every single night. Sure. But any 3, 4, 2 days out of the week, get hot.
3s, 3 and a quarter, whatever. They got 9 points already in a quarter.
Coach, you gave me 10 minutes and I gave you 12 points.
Right.
Toma.
Right.
I'm going to sit the rest of the game. You know what I mean?
One guy comes to mind. I don't know if he's a starter. I haven't been watching Celtics games like that, but Derek White. I think, it's kind of like...
He starts, comes off the bench.
Does he come off the bench? Or
he does both. But he's one of those guys that's
kind of fringe guy.
When he starts, it's like, hey, my goal is to get to 10 points. Yeah. If I hit you guys with 20, we're gonna have a great night. But if I have an 8-point game, 6-point game, it's still not on me to win the game, right? Or to provide enough scoring. And I think that's where we're at. Let's end the Heat segment on a positive note. The Miami Heat announced that Dwayne Wade is gonna have a statue.
Facts.
February 2024, right? No, 2025. I think it's 2025. But yeah, they're going to finally put a statue of the, in my opinion, the greatest sports figure that Miami has had probably ever. Just on the strength of him winning championships here. Modern era when sports is hard, money is involved, politics is involved, divas are involved, that whole lifestyle, like all that stuff. Dwayne Wade definitely has deserved a statue for a long time, and now my dog's getting one. And you and I were talking about like which one of the moments it could have been, and it really comes down to those top 2 moments, dog. It's like
Let's go 3. We got to go 3 moments. Okay, we had agreed on 3, I think, in general. I think the third one was arms out, baseline, LeBron behind them, but argument there is
LeBron's in there.
LeBron moment. That's a duo moment, a dynamic duo. We got to scratch that one.
That one's not out. So
thinking D-Wade solo.
The third one that I think that we could replace that moment with is the Anderson Varejao dunk. Sure. That's a famous dunk, and he's had a lot of famous dunks, right? That one was it. He funked it on him. Number 2 we talked about, right? I think I said the game-winning shot against Charlotte when he was a rookie, right? In his first home playoff game where he hit that shot over Baron Davis to give the Heat a victory. I think that could be up there.
It could be, but also, it's not his most iconic. We agreed that there is one above all.
There's only one moment.
Everybody watching this right now and hearing this agrees.
There's only one moment, dog. It's when he hit the game winner in the L Heat uniform, jumps on the scorer's table and says, "This is my house." That was it. That was it, because everybody always knew that Dwayne Wade fucking owned Miami, had that Heat building on lock, had that whole, South Miami area on lock. Everybody knew that. But that day when he jumped on the table and told everybody like, yo, this is why I am here to give you guys these type of performances, dog, come on. Come on, we're watching it here. If you guys are watching in the background, look at this steal.
I don't even know if you can see this on here.
Money. Of course you can see it. Look at that,
Game winner at the buzzer.
Look at that. Straight to the scorer's table.
This is my house. It has to be some iteration of that right there.
Chills, dog. Chills.
It has to be some iteration of that moment.
It has to be that. It has to be that, man, because that was such a memorable season, right? And we've had so many memorable moments from this guy. Like, come on, man. That has to be it. That has to be it. That was
Dwayne Wade right there, bro. Mr. Clutch. Flash himself.
Let's see.
In the flesh.
Yeah, man. Hopefully it's that one. And they have a couple of road games coming up. They're on the road tonight at Brooklyn while we're recording. And then Wednesday night, they'll be up in Toronto before they come back home Friday to face Atlanta. And then Sunday, my birthday, they'll be up in Orlando. Hey-yo. So, yeah, 4 Heat games this week, man. It's going to be a busy time for our Heat fans. A lot of pizza mañana on deck. On deck.
Hopefully, dog. Hopefully.
Yeah, man. Let's flip on over to the ice real quick and talk a little bit about the Panthers, even though they pissed me off today, losing to the Ducks 5-4.
Oh, yeah, that was a rough one yesterday.
That was a rough one, man. But as go the ups, so come the downs. Right.
We were on a high. We were on a streak.
Fucking 9-game winning streak, my boy.
Yeah, dog. All good things must come to an end.
All good things must come to an end. And look, those 2 back-to-back losses, they suck. We lost to the Devils 4-1, and that was the streak ender at home. And then we lose again against the Ducks at home on MLK Day, right? They were playing a midday game up in Sunrise. And after being up 4-2 in the third period, you come back and you lose that game, dog? Like, come on, guys.
What happened? Did you watch? I didn't get to watch it.
I was watching the 3 periods. Don't tell nobody at work, right? But I was watching it. And
how do you lose that kind of lead, bro?
I'm like, dog, we got this. We got this. I'm like, yo, we got this. I'll fuck around and go take this bet. And then, boom, they give up the first goal. And I'm like, okay. Then they give up the other goal. And I'm like, wait a second. And then, boom, in the third period, they tied it. And I was like, yo, come on, guys. And that, again, Sam Bennett, 2 goals, played great. And Anaheim is not a bad team, right? They're having a shitty season, but they got some talent out there. But
15-27,
come on, guys,
15-27-1. Actually,
come on, guys. Granted, Big Bob was not in goal. I understand.
So that's going to be my next question. I was going to ask how Big Bob played, but he wasn't playing today. Then
no, he didn't play. He didn't play. But everybody else was there. Barkov played. Bennett played. You know what I mean? Like Lundberg played. Like everybody, all the defensemen, Ekblad, Forsling, everybody, dog, Montour, everybody played.
Yeah,
those guys even had goals. So like, yeah. It's just a breakdown defensively. And I think that sometimes, that's what I was saying, right? Like sometimes in hockey, when you're riding a hot streak, bro, it's going to be a fucking hot streak, dog. You know what I mean? You're going to be hot 5, 7, 8 games. Panthers got all the way up to 9 games. So then, yeah, it's expected that you're going to have some bad results coming your way right after that.
I mean, it's not expected, dog. You know what hurts, though?
It's sports still, dog.
It is, dog. But, we always talk about the bounce backs, right?
Yes.
And to lose 2 games in a row at home, dog.
Yeah.
We gave one up against the Devils, 4-1, but... to lose this one, whether or not it was the fact we didn't have Big Bob in there or what it was, it's like, damn, dog, like you never want to lose 2 back-to-back at home.
No, never, especially for this team because we know how important it is for them, right? And then like it's like what we always harp about with our other teams. Don't compound the mistakes.
Right.
You lost, cool. Shake it off. Next day, come back with refreshed effort. Don't lose 2 games in a row because now you're facing even more pressure to be like, hey, we have to avoid this 3-game losing streak here at home. And it's like, wait a second, dog. We had 5 games here at home. Like we were supposed to be winning 3 games. Now it's a problem. Now it's starting to become a problem, right? And look, even with that 9-game win streak, we knew that the name of the game for this year is keep the pace.
Right.
Keep the pace because we're not going to get that number 1 seed or the number 2 seed. Like the teams ahead of us are going to have to majorly fall off. Bruins. And even with that, the Bruins are kicking ass.
Still ahead of us, 43-8 in our division.
Rangers are catching up. They had a big win.
No, 27-13. Sorry, and 26-8.
Yeah,
for the Bruins. And then what's going on in the West over here?
You got Winnipeg killing it. You got Colorado killing it.
And the Canucks are 29-11 and 28-12. Yeah, bro. I mean, we got to 60, 59, 55 is what I'm seeing here.
Got to keep the pace.
How many points here? 62.
You got to keep the pace.
We got to get to 60, dog. We're only at 57. There's a few teams out there that are already at 60 points.
We're way off, right?
I wouldn't say way.
Yeah, man. But again, because
we're slightly off.
No, Joel, it's way off because when you're in the elite company, like the Panthers are, when you're in the elite company, the margin of error is that much slimmer.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So like if you slip and get 1 point and not get those extra 2 points, it's going to be really hard for you to make up with those 2 points if the teams in front of you are playing well like they have been. Boston hasn't really slowed down. We've seen them, how great they've been playing. Colorado's been a great team this year. Have bounced back in bigger ways when they have lost. And Vancouver and Winnipeg, they're just riding their hot wave this season. So, we don't know how short that can be or how long it's going to last. So, yeah, the Panthers have to keep the pace. And winning games that they must win against inferior opponents, they have to do that. And that game against Anaheim was not a heartbreaker. It's you break a piece of glass on the way home. Like, fuck, I'm so mad that we lost this game after being up. But like I said, they still have 2 more games at home. They get a day in between today's game. They'll be back on the ice on Wednesday against Detroit, tough opponent, and then Friday again at home against Minnesota before taking off to Nashville Monday. I just think that the Panthers have to continue to take advantage of this. I don't want to say friendly schedule, but it's definitely one of the easier schedules that they've dealt with as far as having time in between games, right? That allows you to get rested, allows you to game plan better, allows you to practice better, right? Because guys are fresher. So, yeah, I think the Panthers have to, really, really recover here, take a mental break and say, all right, what's our goal for these next couple of weeks before we head into the All-Star break, right? Like, because it's very close. So where do we want to end up with? How many points can we make up on Boston? Is our conference still attainable, right? Is home ice still attainable? If the answer is yes, then Panthers have to go balls to the wall here the rest of the season and not give up these bad games like this to Anaheim.
You're absolutely right. It is rather favorable. I mean, I'm looking at, the foreseeable schedule here all the way through February, even through March, and we don't really have a lengthy road trip. We have 2 games, maybe a third game on a road trip, but that's about it. We got 2 games, come back home for a couple of games, and then back on the road for 1, and then back for 1 more, and then back on the road for 2. And it's not anything that isn't doable, I think.
For the rest of the season, Joel, we only have 3 straight road games, 3 more times.
Yeah, that's not crazy.
That's not that bad, dog.
Not much of an ask.
You know what I'm saying? That's actually quite favorable if you ask me. Sure, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Because depending on how you're playing going into those road games, that could possibly be a momentum shift, right? Where you're like, yo, we've won 3 games in a row. Let's go out there on the road and win 3 more games on the road and come back home. You know what I mean? Solidify our position in our conference. Let's see, man. I got big hopes for the Panthers this year, and they got to keep it up. They got to keep it up. Yeah, that's it. Let's close the podcast right there, and we'll just wrap it up.
No,
turn off the line.
We got more stuff to air out, dog. We got more stuff to air out with the Dolphins. I know. We got some overlap. Some people that probably watch the OnlyFans already wanted to know how disgruntled we felt about the loss and the first round exit yet again. But
do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
No. I mean, we can go however we want.
Go first. You go first.
I mean, let's talk about the season.
Okay.
Overall, in the grand scheme of things,
regular season grade. You ready? C-.
Sure. I give them a flat out C, but I'm right there with you.
Right. Okay.
Reason being, for me at least, you can't forget about the great memories. The bets that were won on the Dolphins. The high flying
parlays
offense.
That hit.
Yeah, the same game parlays that hit, thanks to them on yards, on receptions, on whatever.
Yeah.
Tua's early season performance, against inferior opponents was spectacular to watch.
Tyreek Hill balling.
But, going into probably with 5 games remaining, they were probably at like an A-, right? I would say maybe even with 3 games remaining almost,
3 games remaining would have been a B.
And then
and that's good enough.
And then it just dropped. When we went from being the number 2 overall seed and winning the first division in how long, to then losing to Buffalo, and in the blink of an eye being just a wild card spot, playing on the road with diminishing offense. It definitely dropped. We didn't miss the playoffs. Had we missed the playoffs, we're not even a C. No, but we made the playoffs, and at the very minimum, I think that's why I gave the Dolphins season the C.
I think that's why I gave them the C-, right? Because we knew that the playoffs was like not even the goal. It wasn't
playoff win is the goal.
The playoffs were already, like, in my opinion, a lock, a foundation. Like we are building on something. In the last 5 years, we have been building to be a playoff team.
Right.
So now
this
we're there.
Was a playoff team.
We're here. So now, like, that making the playoffs doesn't. If we don't make the playoff season, probably enough. 1,000%. 1,000%, especially after 11 games.
Yeah.
1,000%, right?
100%.
Okay. The next step for me is like, yeah, we give them the C-. They didn't play well. Then we have to start doing evaluation, right? Coach grade. That's a dude who gets a C, in my opinion, right? Regular season. Because there were plenty of times where he had a bunch of boneheaded play calls, trying the same thing over and over again, going away from the running game, not necessarily trying to get the tight end involved, which had 0 fucking touchdowns this year, by the way, as a group. And you're supposed to be an offensive-minded coach, genius, guru, this, that, and the third. yeah, I have a lot of expectations from you because you place them on yourself, especially once we started seeing Hard Knocks. Because then we knew what was going behind the scenes and how much McDaniel was like, hey, this is how we're going to build this. This is what we're doing. This is blah, 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 blah. And then to not see it happen on the field week after week after week after week after week, it's like, all right, bro, I don't want to hear you anymore, dog. Go out there and win some fucking games. Especially with this team. Because if Andy Reid was, I'm not saying that that guaranteed, but probably Andy Reid doesn't lose those 2 or 3 of those last 5 games, right? With this hell of a fucking grade of offense. Number 1 rushing team, one of the best quarterbacks when it comes to stats as far as yardage and touchdowns and completion percentage. So yeah, the expectations were high, and he did not meet them. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's where I'm at with Coach.
I think yeah, he has a lot to blame. I think they all do. They all get the C because of the fact, and the C, the thing that pads the stats and brings up the average is the beginning of the season. Yeah, I don't want to just be have the recency bias and say first round exit, you guys are done to me D-, F. Right. No, there was a lot of good in this season, but then the way that we kind of yet again self imploded when we needed to show up in the biggest moments. I like to go back to the injuries and talk about the injuries, but at the end of the day, I still think we did have enough. And I think that the responsibility there then falls on your coach to make those adjustments properly in your coaching staff. Not necessarily Mike McDaniel's to blame by himself, all the other guys that are involved there, they get that C. Just like I would give Tua a C. If we're gonna go individual grades for
and
players,
this is the last grade that we'll give, right?
I mean,
we'll do the defense later.
I'll give him a C, bro. Again, I know he had a decent season statistically, but a lot of that came early on in the season, and it came against inferior opponents. Us as fans, what we've been craving, what we need, we're the laughing stock of the NFL. We have the longest drought in professional sports, as far as no playoff wins in 24 years. It's ridiculous. And, we've had 2 opportunities the last 2 years and we couldn't get it done. Last year, Tua wasn't involved. So that's one thing. But now this year, there was no excuse. He was a healthy, available, had experience, had chemistry, and we just couldn't even get it done. One touchdown on offense in a playoff game is not going to get it done for you. The defense can only do so much. And, that's the problem. I know today they were talking already about extending him, keeping him around for the extension. I don't know how you feel about that.
I think that for me, the grade I'd give Tua is a C-, because again, the bar was set high, and while yes, he achieved statistical records, stats, this, that, and the third. Yes, we have to recognize that, but we also have to recognize the bad, right? We also have to recognize that this man had 14 interceptions,
and the bulk of that came later in the season,
right?
In those important games.
And in important moments, right? Which is what really brings down his grade. Because the moments that it's like, all right, Tua, we can deal with the loss, but don't be the reason for the loss, right? Don't be the reason that we lose the hope of coming back. Don't be the reason. Don't be the reason. That's all he had to do, dog, to win the fans over, Joel. Don't be the reason. Don't make the boneheaded mistake. Don't make the bad read. And he couldn't do it, though. And it sucks because he's just like McDaniel. They're both likable guys, right? They come out. They're very honest. They don't really try to coach speak or players speak. You ask them a question, they're going to answer it directly. You may not like what they say or agree, but they're going to give you that truthfulness, which is fucking rare in professional sports. And the fact that we have 2 guys that are that honest with us and take that accountability is new, refreshing. We haven't had that here like that. So yeah, it makes it harder to, I don't want to say bash him, but it makes it hard to put a negative light on Tua. But if we're talking about the success of this franchise, the success of this team, right, on the field, then without a doubt, you have to question Tua. You have to question him. We know he's going to be here next year. It's the cheapest option, right? We talked about it before the season. We talked about it now. Talked about it throughout the season. We know Tua's suiting up next year in a Dolphins uniform. It's a fact. And I don't have a problem with it. But just to kind of wrap up on Tua, I don't have a problem with it. But this is your last year, my man.
I think so. I think that would be
Don't give this man an extension, because if you give him an extension, then what I'm doing as a group is I'm lumping all you guys that had to make that decision. That's Tua, that's McDaniel, and Greer. If they give him that extension, they are tying themselves to Tua's next year. And if he does fucking bad, guess what? That at the end of that next year, those guys are going to be on the way out. Or at least starting to be talked about or being on the way out. Because we, like I said, we can't keep seeing this version of Tua. We cannot.
Definitely, we need to see some improvement. One thing that came up after the Kansas City game, there was a clip that went viral online, and a Twitter, I think user or whatever, stated, look at this, after the game, no competitive fire, no, I can't remember exactly, what the other words are describing.
Yeah, no hurt, no nothing.
The situation was him talking to Mahomes post-game, at the 50 or, midfield, and he asked Mahomes for his jersey. How do you feel about that?
Bro, like I said, it's hard to fucking hate on this guy because he's such a nice guy. But my man, this guy just trashed you. Be aware. Have some fucking awareness and recognize that is not the moment for you to do that. Because guess what? I'm sure that plenty of players swap jerseys from that game. And every other fucking game in the playoffs. But guess what, bro? When it's quarterback to quarterback, there's 50 camera guys around you, 30 microphones. Pick a better time. Hey, Mahomes, I'm going to catch you in the locker room so we can talk about that stuff. Dale, I'll see. Because now what does that do? Again, it's an innocent gesture, and I'm sure it happens all the time. Mahomes told that motherfucker no, dog. So again, you embarrass yourself, you don't get it, you do it in front of all these people, all this stuff, bad optics. And I feel like Tua's career has been surrounded around bad optics. And it's always him the ones that create it. So yeah, I think that was a stupid move. And to those fringe fans, those guys like yourself that were kind of defending Tua and all that shit, they see this and they're like, that's not my quarterback. Because that guy wouldn't fucking shake. The quarterback that I want wouldn't ask the guy who kicked his ass to give him his jersey. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact because there's so many fringe fans on Tua because of the love for the Dolphins that they're willing to give him the break. So yeah, that shit was weak. Weak as fuck. And I think that all those guys on offense, McDaniels, Tua, they did not take advantage of what we had this year. We almost had 2,000-yard rushers. H.N. ended up the season with 800 yards.
That's because he was hurt a few games.
On 103 carries.
Was on IR and everything.
On IR. Nasty. I think he broke the record for most averages. The biggest average, 7.8 yards. Minimum 100 carries. Broke Mercury Mo's record here as a Dolphins and in the NFL. And then you have 2,000 yards receiver in Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And we still, as an offense, couldn't find a way to score points, dog. So yeah, the offense really let me down. I am questioning everything about them. And yeah, I think it's fair.
There was another piece of news or a tweet that came across that you shared with me earlier today.
Yes.
It was in regards to Christian Wilkins.
Perfect timing.
And his future with the Dolphins. You want to
Yeah, I want to talk about the defense now.
talk about that a little bit?
I do. Thank you, Wilkins, for everything you've done here, bro. You've been amazing.
Go get your bag, dog.
Go get your money, dog.
Dolphins ain't going to give it to you. Not that I don't want them to. I would love to keep you around. But the Dolphins don't want to.
No, I don't want them to.
You don't want to keep them?
Not that I don't want to keep him.
The money? Because he's looking for, to be clear, Dolphins offered him a $100 million contract.
Twice.
And he declined it. So he's looking for north of $100 million.
Yeah. So at that price, my bro, peace. Because while
he just made $10 million this year.
While he is a very big part of this defense, right? The most impactful position on this defensive unit this year was the defensive ends. It was Chubbs and Phillips, dog. Them boys were setting the edge on both sides and causing fucking havoc. Nobody could run around those guys, dog. Everybody had to go up the middle. I'm not saying that Chris Wilkins didn't do his thing. He had an amazing season. He's a beast. But if you ask me, my personal opinion, the highest valuable position on the entire D-line is those edge. You want me to prove it to you? Wilkins played the rest of the season. Did we create crazy pressure, especially up the middle? How many times did you see Mahomes, Jackson, all these guys run up the middle or around the edge? You think that shit was happening if Phillips and Chubb is there and we lose Wilkins? Hell no, right? So, yeah.
Well, let's see. This year, 2023, games played, 17.
Bald.
Snaps, 823. Down from a year ago, but 91% on snaps. He had his best career season with 9 sacks.
Less tackles.
Previous high was 4.5. So he doubled his previous high, which is in 2021.
Only had 65 tackles.
However, he did have only 63 tackles, and of those, 36 were solo tackles.
38, I think.
I'm looking at it. I see 36 here.
Okay.
Forced fumbles, he had 1. Nothing crazy there. He's done that before. He had 2 last year. So the number that stands out, the biggest number, is the sack number.
Yeah, he's important. He's important, Joel. He's
and
important.
The availability.
And
sacks and the availability.
He's important.
But yeah, I think for the Dolphins, what it comes down to is that, they've tried to talk about a contract before. Dolphins are at a stalemate because they're comfortable offering a certain number, which is kind of what they gave Sealer, and Sealer was like, "I'll take that all day. I got cut from the Ravens practice squad. You know what I mean? I'm lucky to be here. I'll take it all day." Wilkins, a little bit of a different pedigree, different guy, different process, way he got it to his job and all that, you know. And rightfully so, bro. If you think you can go out there and make an extra $20, $30 million, whatever the case may be,
go do it,
player. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. I'm sorry the Dolphins can't come to that agreement. I'm sorry we don't have the money to do that. But I'm looking at Jalen Phillips, and Jalen Phillips has, this year and one more year, and they're going to want to do something for sure long term with that kid.
I'm just saying that we signed Chubb to a long year. We know that Phillips is going to be here, and those are important positions, dog. We have Sealer here. Yeah, he's not, and he had, not to shit on Sealer, dog, but this dude had 10 sacks. He had 10 sacks himself while having 63 tackles. So I'm not saying that he's going to replace him, but I think we know that we can lose and afford to save money on that contract to continue to reinforce that defense. Case in point, Xavier Howard. This was probably his last season as a Dolphin.
Potentially. He was on a 1-year deal. We didn't want to commit to, a long-term deal with him.
And for the money that we paid him,
he just got hurt, and he's declining.
I'd rather pay 2 guys who are maybe one level under him.
Don't say Kohu.
Right? No, not Kohu. Way above his level, right? Way above his level. But just like a step or a level under, a little bit younger, and a guy I can have for 3-4 years.
You're kind of talking about a guy like Javon Holland, who next year is going to be an unrestricted free agent. We got 1 more year with him now in 2024. Do we try to lock him into something long term now?
I don't know. He missed games too.
That's been this year. He's been phenomenal since a rookie.
He's been phenomenal, but the injury that he had at the same time, 2 knees, both knees. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Could be bad luck.
We're gonna have to make some hard decisions on the defensive line,
and a lot of it is not just it's not riding just because of this season coming up, but because of the following year and all the contractual implications that occur then. We can't just be short sighted. We got to think about the future here and what we're gonna do, which is why I don't think we commit to Tua like that. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Pay, he's gonna make the most money he's made out of his career this year coming up. Great for him.
Good on him.
Fine. You're going to get that money to help you out a little bit. Thank you for everything you've done for, these first 4 years of your career. And then if you deliver a playoff win, give him the bag, dog. Because if he delivers a playoff win, that means he's playing at an elite level.
That's the only way.
That's the only way. He's not getting a bag any other way. At least not from the Dolphins.
No, that's the only way. And look, you know what? We can end the show on that. Because I think that's the task at hand. For him, for McDaniels, for Greer, for everybody who's making money on the offense, Tyreek included, Waddle included, guys who want to get paid, Mostert. I think the only safe one on that offense is Achane. On that entire offense, the only safe one is Achane, because that boy is the truth. And we're going to ride that guy, his coattails for a while. And then on defense, anybody can be moved, anybody can be touched, anybody can be, cut, and I'm okay with it because not only do we have to play the money game, we also have to figure out a way to get better as far as depth, right? We can't be top heavy. And I feel like that's what we were as a defense. We were top heavy. right? Our main guy's good, awesome, amazing. Our second guy's good, awesome, amazing. But 3-6, 3-7, they suck dick. And that can't be it, dog. You know? That can't be it.
Nah.
Yeah, man. Let's get out of here, man. Let's get out of here. Let's wrap up.
Till next year, Dolphins fans.
Yeah, till next year, Dolphins fans. But guess what? We're going to bring you one more off-season show with OnlyFans, kind of go over what's going to be next for the Dolphins, who's moving, who hasn't moved, and we'll figure everything out once the playoffs are done. Yeah. Meanwhile, we got Pizza Mañana with the Heat and Panthers riding up to the playoffs, man. It's going to be a great season for those two guys. And we got Marlins baseball coming up soon.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
golf,
sir.
Man, golf is right in the swing. I think we can talk about it this week. Not too crazy, but we'll keep you posted on the big one.
Yes, sir, especially after the stuff we talked about, man. But make sure to tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell another friend. And let them,
everybody that they know.
And let them know that this is the best podcast to watch and listen to, because we're bringing you this every week and we got that fire. Until next time, peace.